Has welcomed Kenya's win at the United Nations Security Council last evening for the non-permanent seat. The head of state says the win for Kenya is a win for Africa. Kenya defeated Djibouti in the second round, securing 129 votes against Burundi's 62 votes. But what does this mean for Kenya? We're now joined by Foreign Affairs Chief Administrative Secretary Ababu Namwamba. Good afternoon, sir. Congratulations to you and the Kenyan mission, of course, for bagging this win first.
Good afternoon. And it is actually congratulations to all of us because this is a very proud moment for all of us as Kenyans.
All right, this will see Kenya become part of the powerful 15-nation United Nations Security Council. Just to a layman probably who is not aware of the importance of this, what is the importance of being part of the United Nations Security Council?
You know, in terms of the structure of the United Nations, the Security Council, you would describe it as the sanctus sanctum of the organization. Mm-hmm. This is the key decision-making organ of the UN. Mm-hmm. And especially when you're talking about matters of peace and security, an agenda that is very key, is very close to the heart of Kenya and this neighborhood of ours, the Horn of Africa and mm-hmm. Africa generally. The UN Security Council really bears the ultimate responsibility and authority. So you talk about
all right, you say it's a powerful council, which definitely no one will argue with. But if you look at the power play, even at the council itself, it has 5 members who are permanent, 10 are not. There's often the notion that some will veto and use their own powers, which makes the others look as though they have little powers in comparison to others.
I can assure you that any member of the Security Council does not sit there just to add numbers. Decisions of the Council are made as much as possible with the support of all the 15 members. Mm-hmm. And yes, of course, it is true that the veto-wielding members have previously used that veto to sort of nullify some decisions of the Council. But presence of that council, take it from me, is substantive. Mm-hmm. And I have had the privilege mm-hmm. to sit in sessions of the Security Council in New York. And I can assure you that even non-permanent members do have a voice uh-huh. and do have opportunity to push agenda that is important for themselves, for their regions, and for the world. And that's exactly what Kenya intends to do.
All right, Kenya's campaign, alongside many other issues, was pegged on being the African Union's chosen candidate, which begs the question, will Kenya be there as an independent country or will it be under the umbrella of AU? Which interest comes first, even in this unity of Kenya being part of the AU?
You need to know that we live in a multilateral world. Mm-hmm. We live in a world where no country is an island. And you need to know that unity of purpose, regional consensus is the fuel that drives the engine of multilateralism and global relations. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, Kenya has an agenda as Kenya, but this agenda will be amplified. This agenda will make meaning if it is part of the broader agenda of the Horn of Africa, of Africa as a continent, and ultimately the world. Mm-hmm. And so really, we share a lot in common when we talk about Africa, for instance. We share the goal of peace and stability across this continent. Mm-hmm. And that's why Africa has always rallied together, whether it's about bringing peace and stability to Somalia or South Sudan or Liberia or Sierra Leone. Africa has always rallied together. And so these are shared goals. These are shared agenda.
Whereas you say it's a shared agenda, you will realize the geopolitics in the African continent itself, which has played even part in this contest. How then will Kenya rally the countries that probably not necessarily voted for it for this position to support its agenda as a country, and of course the African Union as a union body?
You need to know that maturity entails in drawing a distinction between rivalry and enmity. The fact that Djibouti and Kenya have been rivals for this seat does not mean that there is any enmity. In fact, we are great buddies, we are good friends, we live in the same neighborhood. Kenya is going to carry any agenda that Djibouti has with us as a member of this neighborhood. So yeah, we're going to rally together. Challenges are normal. Even when you look at our national politics, we have challenges. We have challenges of regions, of political parties. It never stops us as a country from pushing ahead. And I can assure you, Kenya has proven time and again that we mend the broken, we heal the injured, we bring people together. That is who we are. That's why we are a force to reckon with in peacekeeping across the world. And I can assure that Kenya definitely will play its role to rally Africa together, to rally the world together around key issues like countering terrorism and extremism, and making sure that our environment is safe, and also delivering on the sustainable development goals.
And notwithstanding the secrecy when it comes to the privacy of which nation voted for which, I want to point out to a case and scenario of Somalia endorsing, before even the vote, Djibouti, which begs the question: Kenya has its own forces in Somalia. Many will say Kenya has the interest of Somalia at heart more than Djibouti. Is this a betrayal?
Yaliyopita Sindwele, who voted how, is now moot. It's gone. It's water under
it may be gone, but is it bringing forth the diplomatic unfriendliness?
You see, a democracy is only a democracy when there is free choice. If you start profiling people or countries on the basis of their democratic choice, then what kind of Democrat are you? A Democrat says, I may not agree with what you have to say, but I'll defend unto the death your right to say it. We consider Somalia to be a friendly, brotherly nation, just the way we consider Djibouti. Any choices that anybody may have made in this bid, that is their entitlement. What is important is that Kenya has been given the honor to sit on the Security Council, and we are determined to serve the whole of Africa and the world without exception.
Ababu Namwamba, I asked you that question because you are a diplomat, as of now, of course, attached to the ministry. I ask you that with interest because in diplomacy, one would argue, why is your backyard for this matter, Somalia, voting for another country and not you?
Listen to me, my friend. This election was not just for Kenya. Many countries participated. Many other regions also had candidates for this election. For instance, India, from the Asian region, Norway, Canada. And each of these regions had opportunity to vote. And so between you and me, I don't know who voted for who. What I know is that 129 countries from the global community of nations voted to put Kenya in the Security Council, which was sufficient majority for us to sit on the Security Council. We go to this Security Council, roho safi, as we say here in Kenya, determined to rally Africa together, determined to help rally the world together around issues of importance to humanity and to the African continent.
All right, and how much of this will fashion Nairobi as a global capital?
Nairobi is already a global capital.
It's already, yes, but how much of this significance?
We are the only host to a UN agency in the global south. I mean, in the developing world, with UNEP and Habitat headquartered here. These add shine to brand Kenya. It raises the profile of Kenya even further. It is a vote of confidence in brand Kenya by the global community. And definitely it raises the profile of Nairobi as a focal point of global action.
All right, I asked you that question bearing in mind what Nairobi has not diplomatically achieved, which I'll read. Hosting the Secretariat of the African Continent Free Trade Agreement to Ghana. It also lost its bid to one of its own takeovers as the chairperson of the AU Commission. It also failed to host the regional offices of the Afrimix Bank. I ask you this because isn't this not an ideal position now to even position Nairobi as a global capital?
Kenya is not the only country on the face of the earth. Some you win, some you lose. You may talk about what have slipped through our fingers, but you should also mention what we have won. We are the host of the CDC, an important continental body in combating diseases such as COVID-19, and we host UN, UNEP, and Habitat here. And so the fact that we did not get the secretariat of some continental body really should not be an issue, because these things have to be shared. And Kenya is always ready. Kenya is always willing to share. And we have absolutely no problem with that. We are happy that we have this privilege and honor and the trust to sit on the Security Council. And definitely, as you put it in your own words, it raises the profile of Nairobi, and it is a profile which we want to deploy in the service of Kenya, in the service of our neighborhood, the Horn of Africa neighborhood and the Great Lakes region, Africa and the world, for the good of humanity and all of us.
All right, Ababu Namwamba, thank you for making time for us in this broadcast. Ababu Namwamba is the Chief Administrative Secretary, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Well, that discussion, of course, was